אפשר להשם צדיקים יבואו גבול זה.
Good morning, Shabbat Shalom everyone. I'm so glad to be with you today as we are exploring part 3 of Joseph's story. And this is where it all comes together, a grand reveal. Finally, Joseph opens up to his brothers and the family is reunited. And this is a story that I believe speaks to all of us, no matter where we come from. Well, I said make yourself comfortable, so I believe that this story speaks to all of us, no matter where we come from, what is our background, because it deals with the most universal themes of human experience: love, loss, and the transformative power of forgiveness. In the midst of the world filled with anger, resentment, and conflict, forgiveness stands out as a beacon of hope and path towards healing. It is a virtue that has power to transform relationships, mend broken hearts and broken bonds, and to open new possibilities. And we see it exemplified in the timeless and deeply moving story of Joseph and his brothers. This story tells us about the family that was torn apart by jealousy and resentment, and of a son who rises to greatness despite the betrayal of his siblings. It's a story of heartache and triumph, of forgiveness and reconciliation. And forgiveness is something that we all need at some point in our lives. It is the glue that holds us, our relationships together. And it is the key to healing and moving forward when things go wrong. In Genesis 45:5, Joseph said to his brothers, "Do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourself for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you." Our sages comment that Joseph's word reflects the idea that God is the ultimate cause of all events, and that even seemingly negative circumstances can ultimately be for the greater good. This could be seen as an example of the transformative power of forgiveness. But it's easy to talk about forgiveness. I think we all might agree that forgiveness is good and beneficial for human heart and for human mind, but it's much more difficult to achieve forgiveness rather than just speak about it. It requires us to let go of anger and resentment and to open our hearts to those who have hurt us. It requires us to see beyond our own pain and to recognize the humanity of the other person. Well, Joseph's strategy for forgiveness was to accept the ultimate role of God in his life. It is inspiring, but as I was reflecting on this theme, I asked myself, can I actually achieve this perfect forgiveness? Joseph is called the Hatzadik, the righteous. And he had very special relationship with God. God was very present in his life through the dreams and prophecies. Yet I am a regular human being. I'm not like Joseph. I do believe that if we are sensitive enough, we can feel the presence of God and rely on God's guidance, but this feeling is ever so fleeting. Maimonides compared the revelation, the divine revelation, to a lightning bolt that strikes during the dark night. For a second, everything is illuminated, but just for a second, and then it's dark again and everything is gone. So I looked at my life. Am I able to forgive those who bring such tremendous, immense pain to my life? Can I forgive Russian generals and soldiers and just regular people who do not protest the war and who bring death and destruction every single day? So I thought about it and I came to the conclusion that actually no, I cannot. I feel so much anger and so much hatred, and acknowledging that, I became actually very concerned with this, because if I cannot truly forgive, how can I come to you, stand here and teach you about forgiveness? That's not honest. And I am just saying all these beautiful words about forgiveness, But how can I teach something that I don't follow? So perplexed by this contradiction and challenge and not being able to find any resolution or answer, I decided to switch gears and leave this topic for a while, ease my mind, and then come back to it with a fresh look. So on my nightstand, I have a book that I have been reading for a while. It's called The Gift, 12 Lessons to Save Your Life, and it's written by Edith Eger. Dr. Edith Eva Eger is a celebrated therapist and a Holocaust survivor. And this book provides a type of guide that gently encourages us to change the imprisoning thoughts, she calls it, and destructive behavior that may be holding us back. And her books begins with her personal story and with the title, I Learned How to Live at Death Camp. In 1944, at only the age of 16, she was taken to Auschwitz, and her parents were murdered on the first day that they arrived. And she was a ballerina, and on her first night in Auschwitz, she was forced to dance for SS officer Joseph Mengele. And I quote from her book now, I stood on the cold concrete floor of the barracks, frozen with fear. Outside the camp, orchestra began to play a waltz, the Blue Danube. Remembering my mother's advice, no one can take from you what you've put in your mind, I closed my eyes. I was no longer imprisoned in a death camp. I was on the stage of the Budapest Opera House. I summoned my strength to dance for my life. So as you can see, not an easy read at all. And now thinking about it, it feels like a weird choice of book to switch gears and ease my mind. But maybe it wasn't the right choice, except that it actually was. As I said, I do believe that God can guide us as if we are sensitive enough. So I opened up a chapter that is entitled, There is no forgiveness without rage, the prison of not forgiving. And I spent so much time reflecting on forgiveness during this week, and here suddenly I got exactly what I was looking for in this book. Dr. Eger says, people often ask, how can I forgive the Nazis? Indeed, I said to myself, how? She continues, I don't have the godly power to anoint anyone with forgiveness, to spiritually cleanse others for their wrongs, but I have the power to free myself. And so do you. She says that forgiveness isn't something that we do for the person who hurt us. It is something that we do for ourselves, so we can stop carrying a burden that harbors nothing but pain. And then she shares a rather surprising idea that there is no forgiveness without rage. She teaches as a therapist that we must find a way to challenge and release our anger. She says silent rage is self-destructive. And I said to myself, well, looks like that's exactly what I'm doing. So let me share with you her wisdom. It's called Keys to Free Yourself from Not Forgiving. And this is actually a therapeutic exercise. And I suggest it to you because I believe that you cannot really live this life without anyone ever hurting you. So this is the exercise. So let's do it together. Think of a person who wronged or harmed you. I will read some statements, and please make a mental note if any of it rings true to you. So I'm going to read the statements now. What she did was unforgivable. He hasn't earned my forgiveness. If I forgive, I let him off the hook. If I forgive, I will give her permission to keep hurting me. Or I'll forgive once there is justice and apology. If you relate to one or more of these statements, you are likely spending energy being against someone rather than for yourself and the life that you deserve. If nothing of that resonated with you, good for you. So step 2, legitimize your anger, then choose a way to channel it, and then dissolve it. If the idea of being angry is too terrifying for you to face alone, ask a trusted friend or maybe a therapist to help you. So what should you do? Dr. Egger suggests some activities. You may scream and yell, or hit a punching bag, or maybe bang the ground with a stick, or break plates on the patio. That actually is one that speaks to me the most. But you can find your way, something to channel that, something to let it go, let it moving, get the rage moving, and let it out. And then step 3, the most important one. You need to forgive yourself. If I'm having a trouble of releasing someone who has hurt me, it may be that I'm holding on to guilt or shame or judgment towards myself. I was foolish, for example, I might think. I was foolish of letting this happen to me. Or I did not find the right words to respond at the moment. Or I could have done more at that time, but I didn't. We have these thoughts. When we cannot forgive, we blame ourselves for what happened. So let go of these thoughts. We are born innocent, says Dr. Egger. Imagine you're holding a precious baby in your arms and feel the warmth and trust of this tiny being and gaze into the curious and wide open eyes and touch the little hands of the innocent child who trusts this world so much. You know what? This baby is you. And say, I'm here. I live for you. With this, we will end our therapy session and our last Dvar Torah of 2022. And thank you for coming on this journey with me. And I hope that you can feel a little lighter and a little more relaxed. And I'm grateful to all of you for coming today to the services and for supporting me through all the challenges and for accepting me as a person that I am. I hope we all can connect to this precious baby inside us and forgive others, and most importantly, forgive ourselves and enjoy the good life we deserve. Happy New Year and Shabbat Shalom.